Did not dream I'll be driving through.
Yeah.
Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible this morning.
I guess you live on the other side of town.
I am around Oyarifa.
Oh, that's the other side of town.
So
That's the other
maybe
side of town.
I may end up enjoying some of the Radio Gold money so that I can also buy a house
Around here.
closer to town.
But I guess your office is around here, right?
My house is at Adabraka.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And that's
yes.
closer.
Yes, that's closer.
Very close.
And my school is St. Mary's.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Radio Gold's premises has been my playground for some time.
Oh, really?
In the past. In the past.
That's very close. And where is this here?
Yes.
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 Nice to have you in the studio.
There was a time that Radio Gold sponsored some of our fanfares in St. Mary's in those days. So we used to call it Marigold. Marigold fanfare. Yes, in the good old days.
Oh,
yes.
That relationship can be very big.
I tell you, it should be.
Well, nice to see you. Very first time I'm ever hosting you face to face. I've spoken to you so many times.
Several times. Yes. You don't invite me. If you invite me, I'll come.
Finally, I have you in studio.
Yes.
First, I wanted to start from the point of the debt exchange program.
Yes.
Because I know today is the deadline.
Yes.
That has been given. For you, initially, your concern was pension funds not being touched.
Yes.
You got your way.
Yes. So the deadline today is inconsequential to us, because as far as we are concerned, the government is indicated to Labour that they will not touch pension funds. So all funds that are deemed to be geared towards people's pension, per our understanding, the government is not supposed to touch the pension funds. And we don't see any reason why government will renege on that MOU that Labour is signed with them. So if Labour is having any funds in any institution, be it a bank, be it any financial institution, or is being administered on behalf of any group of workers, or even a single worker, so long as it is geared towards the pension of that individual, we don't expect that fund to be affected by the debt exchange program. So now some of us even do not see the need for the government to adopt a debt exchange program at all. Because, you see, the IMF did not direct Ghana to go and engage in a debt exchange program in the manner which the government of Ghana is engaging itself in. What the IMF indicated to Ghana was that they should prove that the amount of money that you are coming for, you have the capacity, or you have put in place measures to be able to pay the money. I mean, to put it in a very simplistic terms. And from Labour's point of view, and what we've made clear to government is that you need to take certain decisions. One, governance decision, to ensure that your expenditure platforms have been so reduced that we have enough money to give confidence.
So cut expenditure.
Cut expenditure. Highfalutin programs that is geared towards exciting the optics, and so on and so forth. You will need, you see, a poor man does not drink champagne and whiskey. A poor man, I mean, we don't have to be behaving as if it is the times of old when we were reckless. The fact of the matter is that if the nation is poor, if the nation is in crisis, we have to behave as such. And a poor man do not about giving freebies to people. Right? So there are several things the government is doing that the government ought not to do. So government is gotten itself grappled with what? In debt. So for us, where government ought to have targeted, government is failed to target those areas. And you see, Sena, the consequences of this debt exchange will be felt even not today, but in the future. I recall some years ago when Honorable Haruna was Minister for Labour. And then government owed workers past credits in their pension funds. So we wanted our money. Then the government then said that, look, let us convert the money into bonds. And that there is nothing more sure to an individual, secure, than for government to owe you money. Because it is the safest way of investing your money. And in all around the world, the safest place to invest your money is with government.
Okay.
You may not get very high returns, but you have what? Certainty and safety.
Okay.
So what is happening now? We are gradually eroding that confidence people have in their own government to take custody or to be the custodian of their resources. Because gradually, people are taking out their monies from the bosom of government, because if you cannot trust your government, who else can you trust? And in future, I doubt whichever government in this country can raise bonds in this country in the next 10 years.
Because already they tried raising some treasury bills,
Yes.
and they didn't make their target.
Yes, because people are skeptic, very suspicious of putting their money in the bosom of government. And that destroys the fabric of your society. When we have touted the sanctity of investment, the need for workers to put aside some money for their tomorrow, it is now catching on with people. People who are earning very small salaries are putting something small aside for their pension. It is becoming a culture. We painstakingly built this culture among our people. And when our people have put money with their government, the government comes to tell them that the money that you put on with me, I cannot pay the interest. It will, even your principal, you cannot collect. I mean, people are in a state of despair.
I'm sure as we speak, there's a retired teacher listening to you who may have taken his gratuity right into a government bond.
But I can, but for lack of propriety, lack of conduct and rightfulness, I would have mentioned names. The number of retired teachers who took their lump sums and bought bonds
with it.
They took their lump sums and bought bonds. They took their lump sums and invested, so that at least at the end of every month, together with their SNIT pension and that amount, they can survive. They can survive and live just on the surface of the water. All those people have lost their monies. And it is not as if, you see, one thing about bond, when there is no trading, there is difficulty in getting your principal.
Okay.
Because now as we speak, no bond trading is going on. So even when you need your principal, it is difficult to go and get your principal.
Okay.
So people are locked up. And I don't know who advised government to take this approach. It is one of the most debilitating approaches any government would take. And now we could have rather looked elsewhere.
But could we have avoided it? Because look at our total debt is 575 billion. Imagine the interest burden and the revenue we are generating.
Sena,
we certainly need to do something about it.
Play your clips 4 or 5 years ago. Those radio stations, other radio stations, professors like Gatti, professors like
Professor Bokpin, Lord Mensah,
people cautioned our government. People cautioned our government that when you go to the capital market, there are consequences to it if you are not disciplined. We opted to go to the capital market. They did not ask you, Sena, or ask me, Eric, about anything. They told us that their approach is the best. They told us that they know they have the men and that we should surrender our future into their hands. They are going to solve our problems. So when we are swallowed in such huge debts, then you come back to me, the poor person, and tell me that the little small investment that I have made, I should surrender that investment to you. A 75-year-old man I heard went to a bank and he was told that he can take his money in 15 years. So the gentleman asked the lady who at the bank, but you yourself, in the next 15 years, where will you be? For me, I know in the next 15 years, I will not be on this earth. But you, where will you be? I mean,
75.
75.
Which means that he'll be 90 when...
I mean, how many of us in this country will live up to 90? And around after 80, you are frail. After 80, I mean, I have not seen any time in this short life of mine on this earth where we have injected despair into the blood of our people like we are doing now. And people are on radio defending it. Is this something that ought to be defended? So, let me ask. If government decides to cut the size of government in all aspects, and I'm going to give you a clear example in education, how we recklessly spend money in this country. Prior to the new educational law, the Ghana Education Service was the service that superintended pre-tertiary education in this country. So when you go to the Ghana Education Service, we have the Teacher Education Division. We also had the Inspectorate Division, and then we also had Curriculum Division. All having divisional heads working under the Director General. With the new law, we have made these bodies autonomous institutions with their own Director Generals.
So they are set up.
They are whole. It is like quadrupling the Ghana Education Service. You see the way we behave in Ghana.
So
now we have.
Please go through the. So you said three different.
Hitherto, we had the Inspectorate Division.
Which
is a division under the Ghana Education Service with a divisional head. Then we had the Curriculum Division with a divisional head. And then we also have Teacher Education Division with a divisional head.
Which were all part of the
Ghana Education Service. With specific functions, and by their names, you can know the functions that they are supposed to perform. With the new law, the Teacher Education is now become the National Teaching Council. There is a council, there is a registrar, there is a whole structural setup. Then you go to the inspectorate, the same. You go to curriculum, the same. Then we have now created Vocational Technical Service, which is another Ghana Education Service.
On its own?
On its own, with a Director General. So you see how we have the pressure of expanding the size of government.
5 new institutions.
Institutions on
from one.
From one. And I asked myself the question, why will we not be poor? Why will we not be poor? Sena, you know something? I asked the question. Why don't you know the school, a school called Ghana GSTS?
Yes.
It's in Takrady.
Yes.
A very good school. You know Sectec in Koforidua?
Yes.
Suhum. We have Sectecs all over the country. So if you want to introduce vocational technical education, and you even had already examples of schools like Sectec Koforidua, like Ghana GSTS Takrady, and so on and so. We have a lot of
them. Where I grew up, Sugar Copper, they have a Comboni Technical.
That's right. Yeah. So if already you had them, and you want to enhance vocational technical. When I was going to school, and Sena, you are a small boy, I went to you. When I was going to school, there was nothing like visual arts and home economics department. At the time we were in school.
I had.
But you are a later day saint. So, but now we have home economics department. We have visual arts department, and they are doing very well.
Yes,
they are doing very, very, very well. What we do in St. Mary's is that we have added elective maths to the home economics, and some of the very fine architectural students are those who did elective maths with home economics. And then with home economics, we added some science subjects. The best science subject to add to home economics is chemistry. Then you can get them moved to several areas, Now, so today, if you want to make what we call comprehensive education. I want to see Wesley Girls running vocational technical department.
Okay.
I want to see Holy Child do it. I want to see St. Augustine's do it. I want to see Presec do it. I want to see the 60 top schools do it. Once you have that, you have comprehensive, so you have the business department in the school, you have the general arts department in the school, you have the science department in the school, then you have the vocational technical department in the school.
Okay.
Why do we need to go and create a vocational technical service? Why do we need to create that?
That's a separate institution.
That's a huge separate institution,
With staff.
parallel with staff, with vehicles, administrative staff, whatever, in parallel position with the Ghana Education Service. So sometimes the question you ask yourself is whether, as a people, whether we believe or whether we know or whether we've internalized our real situation and whether we are prepared as a people to come out of the quagmire that we find ourselves. So this is just Ghana Education Service. This misbehavior is replicated in several other services in this country. So why wouldn't the size of government be large? Because it benefits somebody to have such arrangement. It benefits somebody. And in an attempt to even coalesce it, you will see the resistance that you are going to meet. Because it satisfies the whims and caprices of people.
Having said that, I recall recently one of the things you were fighting against was the new appointee for the GS.
Yes.
It looks like you've given up.
No, it is not as if you give it up. You see, when you have the intransigence of power at play, using all forces available to it to maintain the status quo, and you have the needs and the interest of your people destroyed at the sidelines. For example, as at the time that we were in that tussle, there were a lot of issues to do with transfer grants, to do with promotional problems, promotion problems, sorry. We had a lot of issues to do with, look, the last time the government of Ghana paid any teacher vehicle maintenance allowance was in 2018.
2018?
2018.
But that was supposed to be part of your condition of service.
Yes, but the last time teachers were paid maintenance allowance was in 2018. You see? So all these things were also decaying on the sideline.
Okay.
And you have a government, look, somebody from government indicated that, look, hey, when the president appoints, there's nothing you can do. He will not listen to you. At the end of the day, we ask ourselves the question, do we continue fighting the intransigence and allow the needs of our teachers to die on the sidelines?
So you are picking your battles.
We are picking our battles carefully. But at the right time, we'll come full circle and they will see who is right or who is wrong.
Well, if you're just joining us, I have in the studio with me Mr. Angel Carbonu, who is the National President for the National Association of Graduate Teachers. In fact, one of the things we discussed recently was the matter of the state of the senior high schools. But we'll go a little more into that. We'll take a break. When we'll come back, we'll talk a lot more about the state of education in this country.
Thank you.
Imagine strutting into the most anticipated wedding of the year, only to see 7 other girls wearing your exact same outfit.
You are special and one of a kind, and that's why whether it's voice, data, or SMS, you get to enjoy personalized offers tailored to your specific needs with MTN Just For You. Dial *141# or select your options on the My MTN app to redeem your unique Just For You package on Ghana's best mobile network. MTN.
abusua ayi woni so de hu se ubesi dan ewa fi mu ana ene na me kanfo Heart Builders Real Estate ede amawo Heart Builders Real Estate eye dwumako a wono mo atonton ensase won ensase ni bi ewo Shy Hills Tripoli enafi Ningo Pram Pram enije sema ewo ho ne se won ensase a ewo Tripoli ene Ningo Pram Pram no ya tete so ede aba 15,000 Ghana cedis po umpewe na upedien for 20,000 Ghana cedis pe fabra ni yentwe ensase a eda Shy Hills ni bi enfama o Heart Builders Real Estate wono mo sanso tonton adansie any plumbing materials BAB wono mo ye architectural drawing biofuel digester borehole drilling roofing hwehwe Heart Builders Real Estate echirakwan ewo Ashaman woni Mandela Park no ene dinhwe ani mu for Heart Builders ewo homeiso 0591 599 006 ana 0555 314 806 Heart Builders Real Estate, the future planners.
One station.
NAGRAT 2022, 23, 24, and more. We don't try me by Dreamer. Back live.
Commercial free.
Versus Mid-Morning Show.
Oh, we love what you have in bad Dreamer. Mid-Morning Show.
The Mid-Morning Show.
Yes.
90.5.
Good morning, my neighbors. On Dreamer, my Dreamer.
Experience quality radio.
Radio station.
Put your hands up.
Rave.
Powerful.
Morning vibes and more. NAGRAT 90.5. We don't try me by Dreamer.
Whoa, we love you.
Your Mid-Morning Show on Radio Go.
We are back like 100 times. 2 times bigger. 90.5.
All the things I know that you deserve.
Mid-Morning Show. Wait, don't tell me by Dreamer.
Mafuya meya, you say hepatitis. Me to ase, me sirimu. Ase why you be na ekiki me? Emuya meya.
Sciatica, any bone fracture no. You do Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Dr. Kosio Dia ya betrete.
Sciatica, entini, any bone fracture, nompemu yare. Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Ebe show me wahu.
Entemukura. One must specialize wasa area ropa. Yare ba konso ane saya omombre pa hepatitis B, stroke, diabetes. Akumamu yare horo, typhoid, awo, dunsomu yare. Ni nyina Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Koko, wadi abe fumfidie be hwehwe mu yie. Ansa na wadi omu nduro na nanam no akam. Accra, or Kwabenya ACP Road. Wasi Power Bus Stop wo ho a. Kumase, or Feyase, wani Josbro, filling station de di hwene mu. Ena takra de so Anaji Estates, Customs Road. Ghana ha ba bi obia wo bia mfre 0244 54 44 22 and 0200 38 38 31.
Power Specialist Herbal Hospital.
Hepatitis B, ayaresa fi ankasa.
Taking us to 9 minutes past 9. Don't forget, today is 31st January 2023, which means that in 2 days, in fact on Thursday, BB mentioned the virus will return to radio 13 years after he stopped doing the night train. And it's coming back. Same thing, night train, 9 p.m. He's starting this Thursday. Don't miss that huge event. BB mentioned the virus. This time around, in fact, is repackaged. But a lot of what you'll be hearing is something that a lot of you used to confront me about. When you see me in town, you're asking me, where's BB? Yeah, BB used to do the night train. Oh, hey. Then you were reciting the stops, the segments. Well, the segments are coming. For example, the departing and destination mode. Where before they start, they'll tell you the departing point where they are landing. There's the one passem that you know. There's the Mali mode for Shiros. The Mali mode for that one I would like to hear. Shiros and Heroes. Then a pre-nocturnal celebrity. That's also another segment. There's news for view of the next day's paper. That is where people used to tell you what's in the papers before even Onana comes to tell you. And, of course, the XP's crossover. So, that's coming up Thursday. Don't miss it. 13 years away. He'll be sitting right in front of the microphone. He's done that a couple of times, but those are once in a blue moon events. But this time around, he'll be regular. Like I said, let me indicate my guest in the studio this morning is Ms. Angel Carbonu. And let me start from, I don't know whether to start from the base to...
I like to start from the base.
You like to start from the base?
Yes.
Okay. So, because every time people hear National Association of Graduate Teachers, they are thinking all of you
are in the senior high school.
The senior high school. Which that's not correct.
No. We cut across both senior high schools and basic schools in this country. Yes. Just because at the time that the union was formed, majority of graduates were in senior high schools. But it has since changed.
There are lots of graduates who are focused at basic
education, and rightly so. You see, the basic education in anywhere in the world is a foundation for education. The Bible says that teach a child the way he should go, and he will never grow to depart from it.
So even before the person gets into your hands, the foundation will have been laid.
The foundation should be laid. You see, when we get our basic school education right, from the kindergarten level to class 6, you have solved 50% of Ghana's education problem.
Kindergarten to class
6. But that is where you build the foundation for the child to get equipped with numeracy and literacy, which are the foundations and the basis for any future education of that person. Unfortunately, in this country, because of political expediency, we have decided to concentrate on senior high school. It has become a political cliche. It has become a political statement, as if education in Ghana is what? Senior high school. And I will say, without fear of contradiction, that we are gradually destroying the public basic school system in our country.
The public basic school system is being destroyed.
It's being destroyed. In fact, there are gradually in cities, especially city centers, where majority of parents prefer to send their children to private schools. When you go to Kumasi Metropolis, when you come to certain parts of Accra, about 80 to 90% of children attend private schools.
In fact, nobody here has a child in.
Because of the lack of confidence parents have in the public basic schools. Because of the lack of interest and the fact that people feel that the public basic schools are not churning out the results that they need. So gradually there is this erosion of presence into the peripheries of the various cities and rural areas. And this is very dangerous for our country. Because we have very well educated, well trained, and well equipped men and women in the public basic schools. All that they need is the resource presence and the motivation to deliver.
And that's the question a lot of people keep asking. When you go to a lot of these low-cost private schools, the teachers they have there, some of them haven't even been to any tertiary, haven't had any tertiary education. But the parents somehow trust that person ahead of what you have at the school.
You see, I will need to come here for us to discuss that in depth. But I'll scratch the surface for you. Now, when you have a school in, let's say, Jamestown, which is a public basic school, and then you have another school in Jamestown, which is a private school. The school is do not even have very good buildings. The teachers are even not well trained. But that private school, the parent is paying 1,000 Ghana cedis a term. The public basic school, he's paying nothing.
Free.
At that private school, every child is asked to purchase a supplementary book. They purchase it. They say after school extra classes, the parent who is paying 1,000 cedis is paying for the extra classes. They say every time there's mock exam, every parent should come and pay 5 cedis. The parents go to pay. So the mock exam is done. You have a situation where the headmaster or headmistress of the public basic school do not have the right to engage in any of the activities that private dilapidated school with not well-trained teachers are engaged in. None. And a parent who pays money for the child to go to school is more attentive to the education of the child. He's paying for private tuition. He's buying books. In fact, the children have their textbook, they have their exercise books. They give the children homework, and the parent makes sure the child does it, because when you don't do, you go to school tomorrow, you are going to be in trouble. But the public school in the same community, they say it is free.
Yeah.
Go, let the two schools call for PTA meeting. The private school with not well-trained teachers, not adequate infrastructure, all the parents attend the PTA meeting. Go to the public school within the same community. Go to their PTA meeting. Nobody cares to go. Which of these two schools will perform well at the BEC? Certainly it's the private school. There's another one. The income class of the parents who send their children to private schools as against the income class of the parents who send their children into public schools. When children who go to public schools are in hall and chamber, and the television is in the hall, and they are showing telenovela, and then that parent of the child who sends the child to private school is about 2-bedroom house, so they can ask the child to go into the room where there is no television to study. At the end of the day, who is going to perform?
But there are some cases where the parents actually have the same class as those whose parents are in the public schools, but still yet they are able to still instill some discipline, perhaps because they're paying for it.
Of course, you cannot have 100% generalization, because there is a certain public school in your community here called Martyrs of Uganda.
Yeah.
Go and see their performance.
The one that belongs to the Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church.
Okay.
Go and see their performance. Do you know why?
No.
There's another public school called Star of the Sea in Dansoman. Go and check their performance.
That's also belongs to the Catholic Church.
There's another public school called St. Stephen's in Dakuman. Go and check their performance. Now let me tell you why these Catholic schools perform better than the other public schools. In the Catholic structure, the local manager of each school is the priest in residence.
The parish priest.
The parish priest. So the local manager of Martyrs of Uganda is the parish priest. He sees the school in his premises as an integral part
of the church. Oh, okay.
In fact, the local manager can recommend your removal.
The priest can get
a
headmaster.
Yes. You are not doing. The school belongs to the church, as a matter of fact. When there is a broken window, they can do some small collection
and fix it.
So I have mentioned some mission schools, public schools for you in Accra. Go and check their performance and compare. Now, when you come to the government public schools, they give them capitation of 4 cedis, 50 pesos per pupil per term.
4 cedis.
4 cedis.
50 pesos.
50 pesos, which even does not come.
Okay. Let me understand. What is the capitation supposed to cover?
Capitation is money given to the schools in place of the lack of school fees that the children pay.
No school charges.
No, you are not allowed.
Cedis.
No, you are not allowed.
There's nobody who has paid school fees of 4 cedis ever.
But the capitation that government gives is 4 cedis, 50 pesos per pupil. This money is supposed to be used to conduct exams. It's supposed to be used to so that I can see surprise in your face.
No, 4 cedis, 50 pesos.
Per
How much
child.
do they print?
So ask. Look, any man or woman who promises anybody free, like I say popularly, romance without finance is ignorance. You can't get any good romance without. Don't laugh. Stop laughing. You can't get any good romance without finance. So this issue of free. Let me tell you. So capital 4 cedis, 50 pesos.
Okay.
I mean, what do you do with 4 cedis, 50 pesos? So you have a situation where the environment itself does not engineer hard work. You go to some of the schools, the windows are broken. there is hardly any furniture. So, and that is why I'm saying that when the government promised free senior high school, NAGRAT as a union commended government for giving education to the downtrodden. But we cautioned that unbridled free education is going to stress the education budget. And that when somebody goes to Christ the King school or Morning Star school and is paying school fees per term as a day student, and you are paying school fee per term 2,500 or 3,000, what business do you have to give that person free senior high school education where the school fees in the senior high school, including boarding and eating, is even not up to 2,000? You are just telling that parent that, well, thank you very much, but you can take an extra bottle of beer, and enjoy yourself. Is it a need? No. At the end of the day, the free senior high school concept stressed the education budget unnecessarily. We lost focus on the basic schools because the amount of money that government spends per term or per semester on senior high school, if we had rechanneled those monies into basic education in this country, we would have been seeing something very positive. However, the Bible says that the poor you shall always have. So we can create a system that will identify very poor people. Then we can give them bursaries so that no one is left behind. But I don't see why I paid school fees up to 2,000 cedis at the basic school. Then you come and tell me that you are giving me free senior high school. The other issue that we raise is that even the system is not even properly equitable.
Okay.
Because someone is a boarding student. He has a bed to sleep on. He sleeps in a boarding house.
He's fed.
Then you feed that person breakfast, lunch, supper. Someone is a day student. He takes transportation from home every day to school. He does not sleep in the school. And then you come and tell me that you are giving free senior high school education. And every term or every semester, we hear about food shortages and complaints from schools that there is no food in the barns of the schools. And I ask myself, the budget that we engage in this expenditure, if we are rechannel this budget into basic school education in this country, would have been satisfying the foundations of education to the extent that we would have made it such that the public schools will be institutions of choice.
Let me go back to what you were saying about the basic school. So clearly, we've been doing the capitation issue and the free school. I think there's a famous name, F-Cube.
F-Cube, yes.
Free compulsory universal basic education.
Yeah.
At the
basic schools.
Kindergarten all the way to JHS level. So we started with that one.
Yes, we started with that one, yes. That is why capitation grant was brought in to make some funds available for the heads of the school to take care of recurrent expenditure.
But the amounts that you're mentioning.
You see, this is how we continue to deceive ourselves in this country. For example, why do we create a semblance of doing something when we all know that what we are doing is of no effect?
4 cedis 50
4 cedis 50 pesos.
To be very frank, that's why I ask you, what is it supposed to go into?
Can you even find out how much a child is fed in a senior high school per government's own calculation? Breakfast, lunch, supper. How much they have calculated to be the amount of money that a child is per day. And sometimes you wonder, this country, we are just jaguar jokers. We know the amount of money we are quoting is not realistic. Yet we quote it and then we come and create the impression as if we are helping the poor. We are rather making the poor poorer.
Because they also make the argument of the poor that when you add 450 pesos, it becomes it's a huge amount.
Yeah, but what does it do? It sounds huge. What can it do? You are talking about children at that age. Decks will break very regularly. Windows can fall off the hinges very regularly.
But those not supplied by the government.
Yes, it's supposed to be supplied by the district. But the district, when was the last time district assembly common funds even went to the districts?
So the 450 pesos depends largely on some government agencies also providing some
yes.
which does not come usually.
Community benefactors. That's why I said that the mission schools, and even the mission school, we are talking about the mission schools in Accra, because in my mother's village, the collection cannot even buy petrol for the priest.
Talk less of.
Yes. But in Accra, of course, that sort of thing. But what I'm trying to say is that as a people, our focus is supposed to be on basic education.
Okay.
And make sure basic education is effective. Then we can think about senior high school. And I'm also saying that there are people who are poor who may not have parents. So we need to sit down and work hard and identify what class of people government can give government bursaries to, so that poverty will not become the obstacle for which someone who can further his or her education. Right. But then majority of the people do not need, and I'm using the word need. Look, as I sit here, if you give me extra money, I'll take. But it doesn't mean I cannot pay my child's school fees in school.
Okay.
I get it.
But if somebody offers to pay for
me for free, I'll take.
You mind?
I don't mind. Sometimes you are here, if they give you another extra wife, you take. It doesn't mean you don't have a wife. That's a joke. That's a joke. I know you will not take. But all that I'm trying to say is that free things, people will take. But when the free is not there, there's a need for you to do what we call opportunity cost or scale of preference. And then maybe you sacrifice something to be able to pay your child's school fees.
But because when you say this, I'm thinking about every time you do a policy, you do an assessment of that policy. You learn from how that policy fared. You make improvements so that if you decide to scale up, you know the things not to do and how to do things in a manner that's much more sustainable. We did this at the basic school level. At the basic school level, nobody has a boarding house.
That's right.
You come from your house, you move to the school, you close, you go home. At the boarding school, nobody feeds anybody.
Nobody,
So even they do school feeding, which is once.
And it's not even all schools in Ghana that get school feeding. Yes.
So we do that, and we know the cost. We know how difficult it has been. We identify the challenges. How come we are doing this at the senior high school level, and the difficulties of the basic school has not fed into what we are doing?
Because someone stood on a political platform and promised it.
But a promise can be made, but the promise must be advised based on the experiences of the system.
Not the African politician. Not the African politician. And even at the time the promise was made, it was not even part of the manifesto of the party. But the promise has been made. The party had to get along. It became a flagship program of the government. It became the pillar around which the success of the government was revolving. So at the end of the day, everybody had to be whipped in line. I recall the current finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, after about a year in government, recognized the financial burden and even came out to say that, look, he, Ken Ofori-Atta, can pay for his child and 8 other children. Then Hamid, the then Minister for Information came to chide Ken Ofori-Atta for making a statement that confronts government flagship program.
In fact, at the time he said it was his personal opinion, not the opinion of government.
Then, interestingly, Hamid was removed as I thought rather Ken Ofori-Atta rather who made the statement, but Hamid was rather removed as information minister and was sent to the Zongos. But the issue is that every sound-minded person knows very well that we've gotten it wrong. But nobody can marshal the strength to speak out and say that, look, yes, the intentions may be right, but the process is absolutely wrong.
I also want to find out, and I think we've had this discussion in the past, but just for the sake of emphasis, during the process of implementation, was NAGRAT involved?
No, but political decision made, minister appointed, it was his duty to make sure that the issue is bulldozed through. Of course, they won't call NAGRAT to come and be part of Free Senior High School, because then we were still insisting that our position about the wholesale was not sustainable. And history is proving us right as you and I speak today.
Okay.
Look, there was a time when it was government policy that all schools should go on prepaid.
Okay.
So a lot of schools are on prepaid. Now,
prepaid
electric meters.
Okay.
Now, the money even do not come from government very regularly, because already we are struggling with money to feed.
Okay.
So the first issue for government was to look for food for students. So we have had intermittent power outages in a lot of schools because they could not pay for the units, and with the prepaid, the moment you consume your units, the lights go off. Headmasters and headmistresses had to look for money quickly to buy extra unit to restore power, hoping that within the shortest possible time, the government component that is supposed to satisfy electricity would have come.
Okay.
Sometimes it delays and the school will be in there. So sometimes parents come to support, old students come to support, and so on and so forth. In a senior high school, let's say a boys' school like the one I attended, which I would say is the best in the country, Pope John's. I know you disagree, but
everybody's own is the best.
When the lights go off, the students have that tendency to start misbehaving.
Okay.
Noise here and there. If you don't restore that power quickly, somebody can misbehave, destroy something. So it is not a very safe thing for students to be in school, for there to be blackouts.
Okay.
But why are they not regularly paying for the prepaid? Because the money is not there. We were promised that government would direct that all schools on prepaid will go back to what? Postpaid. ECG refused. That promise did not see the light of day. ECG refused.
So government initially directed.
Well, that was the promise given to the schools, that government would take steps for schools to be taken back to postpaid. Because after all, it is the same government that is paying for the electricity anyway.
Okay.
But ACG refused. It has not seemed, as you and I speak today, the schools are still on prepaid meters.
That's another cost that they have to constantly find money to.
Money will have to be present so that the light, at least during the time students are in school. So we are saying that you are spending huge sums of money to maintain free SHS. But when you segregate the issues and carry out point-by-point audit, a lot of school life aspects is running down. Okay? And those things, apart from feeding, affect the sanctity of education.
Okay.
So the fact that it is not coming to the fore, it is not making the headlines, does not mean it does not exist.
Which ones are really being ignored at this point?
Okay, for example, when it rains and a school wall gets broken, unless you have a philanthropist parent or PTA or... No, not even, we don't even have PTA, we have PAs. And then we...
Parents Association. So teachers and parents cannot sit together and think about the school anymore.
I cannot for this. For the spirit in me, I understand. But we have PAs. and then or maybe some old student coming to repair, then you have to rely on government to come and fix that wall. If that wall is in a community like the community I find St. Mary's in, which is a polygonal community, that does have its own social challenges, and you don't fix that wall and the school is a girls' school, then you have an infiltration of people to and fro the school, and it affects teaching and learning. Once there is no money sitting in any coffers for the headmaster or headmistress to use to fix that wall, then you have to be waiting for government funds. And as and when it comes, you see what you can do with it. We have a situation where you go to schools. Look, there are several senior high schools as we speak, including mine, because all students, we've realized that we have problems of decks in Pope John's. So all students, we've come together for every year group to donate money so we provide decks for students in Pope John's. If we had an adequate situation, why do we have shortage of decks in my school? So you see that there is something wrong with the whole free senior high school concept. And when funds are not available in the schools, then teaching and learning is compromised.
Because at the point when you wake up in the morning and somebody, I am sitting here, and the very first discussion I'm having is a discussion about whether students have breakfast.
Yes. And some of the reports we get from the school and the pictures that we are getting, it's not the best. Look, those girls at which school was that where they insulted the president?
I think it was somewhere. Is it China?
China.
Yeah, senior.
What were the girls talking about? They were talking about food. How horrible their food was. Hence, of course, nobody agrees with what they did. You cannot insult the president in that manner. They should be punished, I agree. But they were complaining about their food. So a lot of rioting and demonstrations that we are getting in the schools today is coming as a result of shortage of food or inappropriate food that is being served the students. And when you don't, just because a certain political party use the word review free senior high school, anytime you as a union use the word review senior high school, they say you are acting in tandem with that political party. So I don't know what word to now invent, but there is a need for us to sit down
and look at
this policy. And I say, we have a lot of poor people who need support. We should be able to design a certain module in identifying those poor people and give support to. But a mass majority of people who sent their children to private senior high schools and paid far more than government requires people to pay in boarding houses do not have any business to be supported to pay for free senior high school. What happens then? You free resources for yourself as a government and redirect resources in other areas of need. What is wrong with that?
So it's difficult for you to even ask for a review.
No. You ask for a review, you are an opponent. I mean, for me, I've had insults. I'm sure after this program, I'll be having a lot of insults, about me. Those things don't mean anything to me. But the fact of the matter is that when we have political intransigence at play, you are not going to get any positive results.
Because it's been 5 going on to 6 years.
Yes, that we started the free senior high school.
A couple of things have changed because a lot of parents say, okay, so my child comes to the house 3 months. I have never, when I was senior high school, never have I had a vacation that is 3 months before. I've never seen that. Sometimes over 3 months. What's happening?
I think this February 16th, the Form 3s are supposed to go home. And then
when did they even come to the school?
January.
They came to school in January?
Yes.
They'll go home in
February for a short period. Then some other group will go to school. All these issues came out of double track, and then the double track now became like a triple mix track. When a child does not get his full cycle of teaching, and then you break that child to go home for a period, it takes a number of weeks for the child to get back to the normal education frame. Okay. So in those days, when you vacate and you go home and you come to school, the first week, you see how what happens. Yeah. Because you have not gotten yourself into the frame of school. You are still hanging on to the largesse of the house, that sort of thing. Even for teachers who came from holiday, everybody is like, it takes time to get yourself into the teaching learning frame. Yeah. So when you keep having this break and recall, you are breaking that rhythm of teaching and learning. Okay. When you break it's like you are learning for an exam. It gets to a place where if you realize that you are absorbed, then somebody comes to disturb you. It takes another 30 minutes for you to get back to where you were. Right. So exactly that is what is happening. There is no certainty, and we are not getting continuity. In spite of this, there are teachers who for the past 5 years have hardly had holidays.
Yeah, I will come to that. But I want to understand. So somebody comes to school January. So I'm assuming after the new year, they're going back February. You said February what?
I think February 16th.
February 16th.
Yeah.
That's barely a month.
Barely a month.
In school.
Yes.
So as a teacher, what do you do then? What do you teach within a month? Because we used to be told that, the time is not even enough to finish what I have planned. And then now you have a month. What do you do?
These things are done because there are also some other students waiting to be brought into school.
Okay.
You see, it distorts teaching and learning. To summarize it distorts teaching and learning. You see, when you have not piloted a concept, and then you just jump into a program, you begin to live with the challenges and the mistakes unprepared. And that is what we did as a country. We were too interested in the political outcome of starting a program.
Okay.
Because when we started the program, did we have enough infrastructure? Did we have enough facilities and resources to make sure the program succeeds? No, but we started. So it was when we started that we realized that, the numbers are more than we can bear. So quickly, there ought to be an intervention. So let's go double track.
Okay.
So we went double track.
Which is now more than 2 tracks.
Now, which is now more than 2 tracks, because if it were a pure double track, we would have had 4 months of track A education.
Okay.
Then they break. Okay. And then another 4 months of track B education. So in between each track, the teacher gets 4 months break.
Okay.
So the 2 tracks can run pari passu without problem.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It got to a time where somebody would come and say, let these people stay in school a little bit longer. Let these people stay in school a little bit shorter. Now we have messed the whole double track system up. And you are having, because if it were a pure double track, we have 12 months in a year. First semester for track A, 4 months.
Okay.
Another semester for track B, 4 months. The teacher rest periods, 4 months. It makes 12 months.
Okay.
But people who think they knew will not listen to anybody. This is where we find ourselves. This is where we find ourselves. So the question I asked is that when we knew we did not have adequate infrastructure, why did we get ourselves into the program head on? Why? When we knew we did not have adequate resources, why did we not stagger the program in such a manner? Okay, we've started this program. We have a completion point of this program in 3 years. By the 3rd year, we would have put up enough infrastructure or enough senior high school. So we will go full throttle after 3 years.
But you were supposed to have done that by now, was it not?
Yeah, but because in the first place we were shocked with a challenge, we have not gotten out of the of that challenge. We are still drowsy with the effect of the challenge that we could have avoided initially.
And then you're now saying that for a teacher, someone could just be in school throughout the year.
Do you know why?
A single break.
Yes. You You see, you have 2 tracks in school. The teacher is a mathematics teacher. One, there may be no other maths teacher, so this teacher is asked by the head to run the 2 tracks. Another is that the teacher may be a very experienced one, who has been in the school for about 10 years with a lot of experience. So, of course, if it is the same school and we want the good results, we'll do it in such a manner. This man handles the Form 3 students. So somebody, I get in it, so that he will be as a mentor to the younger ones who are coming. All right? Now, some of the teachers are heads of departments. The heads, we don't have track A head of department or track B, so that person is almost always in school. The assistant headmaster is always in school. Because we don't have assistant headmaster for track A or track B. The headmaster or headmistress is always in school. We don't have, I get in it. Now for the house masters and the house mistresses,
they are perpetually there.
They are perpetually there. So you have this problem confronting us in such a, and then there was a time that they felt that since they are all going to write the same exams in Form 3, then the 2 Form 3 tracks will have to be in school at the same time. I think this is even one of the reasons why we got ourselves into it, because examination time for Form 3s is both the tracks.
So
they all have
to find space.
You have to find space for the 2 Form 3 tracks,
which means that you have to sacrifice it.
You have to sacrifice a year group. You have to sacrifice a year group, so that the Form 3 will be in school together, so that they can write exams. And when they come to school, you have all the teachers rallying themselves to be able to give them some teaching, prepare them for the exams. So there are teachers who have not had holidays, and they have not been compensated for.
So this all year round teaching does not attract any extra incentive.
No, they have not been compensated.
So you just keep going.
They are just going, but they've got to keep their jobs. And sometimes appeal from the headmaster or the headmistress. Oh, these children are our children. They are all this thing. And of course, human sympathy, survival of humanity. At the end of the day, you die earlier than your time.
Ghana's goal.
So that is a challenge that confronts the schools.
And then there's the vast matter of feeding. What is the problem? Because
you see, populism and demagoguery, and sometimes when I use this expression, people get a little bit upset. But populism and demagoguery is the weakest foundation for any political system, where you come in and then you make statements that will excite people. At the end of the day, it is the people who pay for those statements. Because when you make the statement, you have to. People want you to live by it. At the end of the day, we drive all of us into the ditch. You see, I have sent my child to school. The principal purpose of sending a child to school is to go and learn. The child should be taught and the child should learn. But the reality of our situation in Ghana is such that you cannot do without boarding house. Because in the whole of Medina Township, I can tell you it's one of the most populated townships in apart from Presec does not serve Medina. And WAS, which is in Adenta, there is no senior high school in Medina.
Medina does not have a senior.
No, it does not have a senior high school in Medina Township. And we have several towns. The whole of Kaswa.
Kaswa is huge.
Kaswa is huge and very populated.
Yes.
Go and check. There is only one senior high school that moved from Krimeto, Christian Methodist. And that one, it is at, I've forgotten. It is the whole of, that is the senior high school that is there, which is a day school. So senior high school is not properly or equitably distributed in Ghana. In fact, to inform you, in Ghana, a population of about 31 million, we have less than 1,000 senior high schools in this country.
Less than?
Yeah, we have less than 1,000 senior high schools in Ghana.
Not up to 1,000?
Yeah, no. Less than 1,000 senior high schools in Ghana.
31 million?
Yes. Less than 1,000 senior high schools in Ghana. So, And then again, boarding house is also necessary because sometimes the distractions at home prevent certain people from learning. Let's say a child living with a stepmother, and the stepmother is a trader. So sometimes when the child goes to boarding house, there is this mobilization of teachers to ensure that there is concentration, that the child can concentrate on the study. So boarding house is not a bad concept at all. People even say that one of the things that is made us a united nation without too much acrimony is the boarding house system that was introduced from the colonial days by the missionaries till now. So you go to school and then you get people from all sorts of tribes and ethnic groups. So it breaks that tribal suspicion and acrimony. So boarding school is not altogether very bad. But it should be a choice. And when you choose it, you should know that, yes, when you go to school, you have to be fed. You have to have a place to sleep. So you have to pay for it. With the free senior high school, the government said, no. Nobody pays for anything. I'll pay everything, including provide you school uniform. So, who will not get onto the gravy train? Everybody will get onto the gravy train. We are happy. Government is taking everything for us. At the end of the day, what are the consequences of it?
Okay.
So for me, you say you will give, and then you've taken, instead of calculating the amount of money per child and handing over the money to the headmaster. So the headmasters and headmasters do the same purchasing they've been doing with contractors. You say no. There is going to be a central point called buffer stock, where we will distribute the items to the school from central government. And do you know what is happening? You go to some schools, they have so much rice. Then you go to another school, they have so much beans. Garidie, I don't know why it features so prominently. So there was a time that some headmasters, they were doing barter trading among themselves. For Sena, I have a lot of rice, but I don't have beans. Okay, then you do some swapping.
So you give him your rice, he gives you his beans.
Sometimes the supply is not in tandem with the population of the school.
Okay. So you have a lot more, they supply less.
That's right.
There are some places where they say they have less population, they have more.
They have more. It happens like that.
Okay.
And I say, if per student is, let's say, 12 cedis a day, if it's 12 cedis a day, calculate that 12 cedis per day, multiply by the number of times the students will be in school. Let CHAS and the ministry, parents, whoever, sit down and let's get the feeding fee of the school.
Okay.
Then we get the other things like recurrent expenditure, examination. And when you get all this, and it is you, government, who wants to carry the burden, give the money to the school.
Okay.
They say, no. The school headmasters will take advantage. They'll be corrupt. They'll steal the money. Do you know what is happening from the central point that you have reverted the thing to?
Now, how does it work? Because now the impression we get is that, okay, so whenever there's stock available, a headmaster goes to the buffer stock, picks up whatever it is there.
Yes.
How does it work?
Buffer stock take the items from food contractors.
Food contractors?
Yes, people who supply food. So sometimes buffer stock, even if government does not bring money on time, then buffer stock take the items on credit. That is why buffer stock is in debt as we speak.
Okay.
Because they owe a lot of contractors money, and then they do the distribution to the schools. Okay. So all the schools go and pick it from a central point where buffer stock will so direct, But some of these things are being distributed by political party apparatchiks and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, the headmaster said, no. And so there was a time even somebody came and said, look, you have to take this consignment. The headmaster said, no, I have enough of this. This is rather what I needed. They created a whole lot of trouble and so on and so forth.
somebody came with a supply.
Yes.
That the headmaster did not need.
They don't need.
Had too much of that.
Yes, hard was saying, no, I rather need this one. The person, look, I've been directed to bring this, and so it became back and forth. I think that what we are implementing now, a GNSM like an account person, is gradually getting out of hand.
Okay.
We need to review the system and see what system can be operated for the good of our schools and for the good of our parents. Okay. Again, for me, let me reiterate it. Free senior high school is good for the needy, but it is not good for those who have.
Okay.
Let me say that it is your responsibility as a parent to sacrifice something somewhere to raise your child. But we all know that there are some people who cannot. The way forward is to eat humble pie and say, look, how do we do it? I think certain category of children, certain category of parents do not need free senior high school. If you are earning income regularly, you don't need free senior high school. That doesn't mean that you don't have challenges at home. Oh. You have challenges at home, but that's what I'm saying, that you have a choice.
Okay.
Number 2, make day schools free and available. That's the tuition.
Okay.
So that when I live in Adenta, I'll send my child to WAS.
Okay.
But because those who will be in boarding house, they'll be paying for feeding, they'll be paying for... And Sena, I don't know how much you give to your child to go to school these days. There was a time I was giving my son some money. One day he goes, Daddy, the money you are giving me, it's not enough.
It's not up to.
You know, so even the days they give money to their children to go to school. Let us all sit down and review the free senior high school. You know, it frees resources. So we redirect those resources to other areas of education that we need. And I'd say any government should look critically at our basic schools. First.
Because I'm wondering that, because right now, your concern is all on how to keep the schools, the senior high schools running, for those of you in senior high schools.
Yeah.
So much so that the question of the quality of the students you're getting nowadays from the basic school, because that's an assessment you have to do too.
Yeah.
As a teacher.
Yes.
First time the students walks in, you have to look at, okay, so what does he know? How is he? What kind of quality are we getting nowadays? Has it gone down or is...
No, it's gone down. Of course, it's gone down because we have something we call mirror effect. When you have a school and majority of the children are not doing well, it reflects even on the few who are supposed to do better. Okay. But when it comes to a school where majority do well, that again also reflects to a few who are not doing better. They pull them up. Okay. You know, the majority can pull you down or they can pull you up. Okay. And I'm saying that the BEC results that we are getting in our public basic schools is as a result of a lot of factors. I talked to you about the financial class of parents, the type of home they come from, the concentration of parents, the lack of concentration. Those are all a lot of factors. But I'm saying that we can make the former mayor of Accra, Okuvandapo, built a certain or rehabilitated a certain public basic school in Osu. I didn't know that it was a public school. So when I drove past the place, the school looked so beautiful. And so, which private school is this? And I was told it is a public school. The environment itself was attractive.
Okay.
With a little bit of resources and a little bit of more attention to the children, I can assure you the children in that school can perform like any other private school in the environment of Osu. Okay. When you go to St. Peter's Catholic School in Osu, when Father Dominic was the parish priest, the parish revamped the school and wanted to convert the school from government school to a private school. But I learned the chiefs and the local people made a representation to the Catholic bishop and said, oh, if that happens, that means they'll be denying their children school. So Father Dominic could not pursue that. But then the edifice itself looks very beautiful. It is within the premises of the St. Peter's Catholic Church. With a little bit of attention, those children can perform. You go to other public basic schools, in fact, Sena, the atmosphere alone. You go into the classrooms, we have about 4 or 5 dual decks. The rest are broken down. The ground is, the concrete is coming off, so it is dusty. What type of teaching and learning do you expect to get in such an environment?
Our time is up, and we have to end it here. But before that, I'd like to ask you a question. Are you still? Do you still get the procured past questions? Because when it gets in close, you will get some nice past questions that are supposed to assist you.
We were up in arms with government purchasing past questions because as teachers, we constantly educate our students not to rely on past questions, but to rely on the contents and text of what they've been taught by their teachers. Learn and understand that past questions is just an aid to see how questions are asked so that you can prepare yourself. But you cannot rely on past questions and answers to be equipped with information and knowledge to be able to write any exam. Unfortunately, the government at some time decided to bypass questions for all students in this country. And as educationists, we felt that it was a wrong move by government. Provide textbooks. Provide teaching and learning materials. Let the teachers teach and give them adequate notes. If the student gets 1 or 2 past questions and then you help solve it and then the children know the trends, fair enough, but we cannot rely on past questions. I think for the past year, we have not seen past question being supplied, and we hope it continues.
Thank you. Thank you for making
Thank you very much, Sena.
Let's do this more often. So I'll be in touch.
Invite me, I'll come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
It's been quite educative with you. That's Mr. Eric Angel Carbonu, who is National President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, joining us this morning. We are back tomorrow with another edition of the Gold Morning Conversation. From my team and I, we say a big thank you to you for making time to listen and to be with us in the studio. Ochami Bajumba is up next with the mid-morning show. Today, Kojo Akwe is in the spotlight, so which means it's classic high life that we are working with.
Kofi guys, headache, ewa, sombo. Go. Osode. Edi na mi wi. Wo na wasi nantia wo kwai. Osode. Yeah,